The way I see it, XRP is going to be something different to different people based on your geographic location, what continent you're on, your social status, who you are, what you do. So for instance, I believe that most of the money is going to come into XRP actually from the APAC region, Asia Pacific. So we're talking about countries like China, Hong Kong, Korea, Singapore, Malaysia, etc. Now, the reason why is because XRP in that region is going to be leveraged to implement tokenization of real world assets. So you're talking about real estate, property, etc. And there's huge money in that in Asia. Of course, we're going to have the underlying cross-border payments, etc., like everybody else. But I think most of the money is going to come from that. And that's going to be the fundamental thing that they use XRP for in that region. In African countries, it's going to be a different thing. I think African countries are going to implement XRP to bank the unbanked. So there's going to be a grassroots movement, so a bottom-up movement, rather than a top-down movement that we have in the West. There's going to be a bottom-up movement in Africa where the retail and citizens themselves are going to lead this move into XRP. Now, Africa is a massive continent with a diversity of development, right? So you have countries like Nigeria, you have Egypt, Morocco, South Africa, Kenya, and some others that have a relatively sophisticated payments infrastructure. Ethiopia is another one that have some legacy systems and already practice some digital payment systems as it is. They might also have a larger percentage of people who are banked because, again, their level of infrastructure is better than some other African countries. And then you have countries like Niger, Chad, Malawi, maybe Mali to an extent. Due to location of where people live, these are vast countries, some of them, with lots of distances between cities and towns. Some vast areas are desert, arid lands that are very difficult to cross and lay infrastructure in, and just the general underdevelopment of some of these countries over the years, which means infrastructure has been lacking. Now, a lot of small businesses in these areas also still operate using cash. Again, we have the sophisticated ones that have been using digital payments like M-Pesa for a long time, and in some of these respects even outpace the West. The majority, though, of small businesses still operate using rudimentary methods. So imagine a world where you have the masses who have banked themselves using XRP and the small businesses who are leveraging the payment systems using XRP, and they can basically marry together and make it work. In these countries also, another advantage actually is that they don't have these legacy systems that are going to get in the way, much like we've seen in the United States, where the legacy systems are putting on a massive fight and trying to stop the innovation from coming forward and stealing their lunch effectively. So these countries are not going to have these hurdles in their way, so they're going to make the move a lot easier. In Europe, on the other hand, I think XRP is going to play a role in cross-border payments. I think the same in the United States. A lot of European countries already participate in the single currency called the euro. So a lot of people can travel across these borders with cash effectively, or just basically put a card anywhere in any ATM in any city across Europe that participates and just take out euros, right? But even within these borders that use the single currency, there are strict rules when you transmit value from one country to the other financially. There are companies that have to deal with each other under different rules and regulations, even though we have the umbrella EU legislation, right? Also, there are many countries in Europe that don't actually use the euro. Either they're not part of the EU, like Russia, like the United Kingdom, that have their own currency, and they've never participated in euros, or they're actually part of the EU, but still don't use the euros, like the Czech Republic and Poland, for instance, who have their own currency. So you have money still has to be exchanged from these currencies to the other. So I think XRP is going to play a great role in bridging some of those currencies together. The United States is going to be quite similar, especially when it comes to cross-border payments to other countries, when it comes to remittances, because the United States is probably the largest producer of remittances across the world, right? So we're going to have remittances and cross-border payments in the West, because people go to the West to take advantage of the industrialization in those countries. Many people send money back to their countries. And of course, a lot of these Western countries also have to operate with each other. Big banks need to send money across to each other to balance, payments and checks and things like that. In African countries, unbanked will be banked. Small businesses will leverage XRP. And in Asia, we're going to get an influx of value coming from the tokenization of real world assets. The final thing that I didn't mention, of course, is CBDCs. Now, I don't believe CBDCs on XRP ledger are going to be a thing in Western countries. A lot of these countries might leverage something similar to XRP ledger or even just clone it or whatever. But no Western country is going to entrust their financial system to a decentralized network. That's just not going to happen. Countries that are maybe obscure or remotely located or small enough, yes. For example, we have Palau, countries like El Salvador, maybe little countries like Malawi, the Gambia in Africa. Now, these countries are small enough, or maybe even they're lacking in the infrastructure to implement these services themselves. Or again, there are no legacy systems to get in their way. They might leverage CBDCs and stablecoins on the XRP ledger. I can see that happening. But countries like the UK, Germany, the United States, I don't really think so. So effectively, XRP is very versatile and it's going to be different things to different people. Exciting times ahead, not financial advice. Do your own research. Peace.